Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. I want to talk with you today about your need perhaps to have a difficult talk with yourself regarding the future that you have with that narcissistic individual in your life. Now, I want to set this up by just kind of giving you a little personal insight. When I was in the therapy office for over 40 years, when a person would come into my office, one of the primary things that I would watch for, particularly in the early sessions, was the question, is this individual somebody who's open and amenable to adjustment? And can they take input? Do they have an eagerness to learn? Do they have an openness with respect to being honest about their own flaws and their own contributions to some of the difficulties? Will they pull their defenses down? Will they suspend judgment long enough to just be descriptive in terms of what happens? Can they be honest? Those are the kind of ingredients that I would watch for that would tell me we've got a really good possibility of things going in the right direction. Now, as I mentioned those characteristics, I want you to think, how much of that applies to the narcissist in your life? Do they have that same kind of openness and that willingness to adjust? One of the problems that we have with the narcissistic pattern is that over time, these individuals will develop a moral and an ethical corruption, which means that all sorts of characteristics can take over in their personality and their way of dealing with things, and they ignore whatever truth, they ignore whatever adjustments might be necessary so you and them can move forward in a healthy kind of way. And this explains then why the narcissist that you deal with may be very prone towards chronic dishonesty and making up things as they go along. They may be prone toward rages whenever you call them out, or sometimes they take the rage and then they have what we might refer to as a silent rage, where they hold you in contempt and they stonewall you. It could be that they are people that have had sexual improprieties, or they hang with individuals that are not good for you or them. And then on top of that, when you do try to give them input and you say, we need to talk or let's figure things out, it doesn't go well. They don't offer apologies for glaringly obvious dysfunctions, and they can just be stone cold in their inside their heart. Now, there comes a time when these kinds of things happen over and over that it sinks in with you. This person is not going to adjust. And it's not that they're not going to adjust. It's like they can't. It's just not in them to do so. And that can be a really disheartening kind of a thought for you, particularly if you're that kind of person that I just mentioned that says, well, I want to be open and I want to examine myself. And the narcissist may think, good for you, but I ain't joining you into that. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Narcissists, in their refusal to adjust, will cling to their controlling ways and their attitudes, and they remain indifferent by whatever negative repercussions might come with their insistence that they have to be in control over you. They can blindly be unapologetic about their very worst traits. It's like, I don't need to apologize for anything. If there's a problem with me, you did it. So they reinvent truth. When their actions are clearly inappropriate, they can make up all sorts of stories and excuses. They adhere to double standards. They insist that you have to be reliable and responsible and steady, but they don't need to. It's like, lenience for me and judgment for you. That's kind of one of their mantras, if they could be honest about it. They're master gaslighters. And when I say gaslighting, that means that they want you to be confused. They want you to doubt your own perceptions and your own thoughts and ideas. So they'll say things just summarily. Well, you just got your facts wrong, or I'm not the one who initiated the problem. This is all because of you. And so they cannot be honest, but they want you to doubt some of your accurate portrayals of things. They blame, and they issue shame, and they issue accusations pervasively. They refuse to take accountability, and their lack of empathy then leads to a rigidity in their opinions. That doesn't sound like a formula for success now, does it? Now, I have a question for you, and this is where I'm wanting you to have this difficult conversation with yourself. How many times have you been sucked into their manipulative arguments? How many times have you come towards them with yet another plea for them to be appropriate and to drop their lying ways, or to drop their perceptions, and to hang on to truth? How many times have you tried to defend yourself and explain that you're not nearly the person that they're making you out to be? How many times have you thought to yourself, you've got to be kidding me? I can't believe that you would think this, or you would say that, or are you so dense? And I dare say that many of you have made the mistake of thinking, well, maybe if I say things exactly the right way, then something's going to get through. And I actually, literally, I would have conversations with patients in my office, and I would say, how many times would you say you've had this conversation with this very difficult person? And they would say, oh, hundreds over the course of years, hundreds of times. And so I would say, well, let's pick a number. Let's say you've had this conversation 450 times. Do you think conversation 451 is going to be the one that makes the difference? And, they'll chuckle, but it's my way of saying, let's take a look at what we're dealing with. Some individuals, no matter how clearly you explain it, no matter how much shame you put on them, and no matter how much logic you use, they're not going to make the adjustment. So this leaves you with one really large challenge, and that is, can you accept ugly truth? And the whole pattern of narcissism, obviously, is ugly. It's built upon falsehoods. The narcissist is somebody that learned a long time ago being real and being authentic doesn't help. And so they've been crafting a false narrative from very early times in your life, and that sets up all of these patterns that I just mentioned. The narcissist presumes I have to stay true to who I am and my initiatives. And if it means that I have to suspend truth, I'm willing to do it. And by the way, no one's going to tell me what I need to do. End of discussion. Go away. I don't care. You're just trying to control me. You're trying to tell me how I'm supposed to live. Now, you can protest and you can say, hey, look, I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to dictate how you're supposed to live. I'm simply asking that you be respectful of my thoughts or my feelings, my perceptions, my preferences, my opinions. And as a general summary, we can say that the narcissist's response to all of that is, shut up. That's how they think. And the gate is closed. You're not going to get in. Now, I want you to consider a question, and it's not one that you particularly would enjoy hearing, but the question is, are you going to be able to manage yourself knowing that there's a permanence to the narcissist's dysfunction, knowing that they cannot and will not adjust, and that reality sinks in, and it's like, wow, nothing I'm going to say is going to move the needle. And the longer I remain in this, the more backwards I go in my personal growth. And maybe another way to put it is, are you willing to move from what if to what is? Rather than saying, well, what if they do this differently? And what if I can say it this way? What we're going to say is, what's the truth? What is? Let's be objective. Let's be fact-based. Now, one of the biggest problems, and my heart goes out to you when I hear this, one of the biggest problems with what I'm saying here is the cost can be very high. I've had so many people say, yeah, but if I accept the truth, then I may have no access to my grandkids or my own children, or I may be ostracized at holidays, or I may wind up not having the kind of family connections that I had once thought that I would, or it may be that I'll be in a job that I don't want because I have to leave because of a bad supervisor. I mean, the cost can be very high. And the question is, well, is there any likelihood that it's going to be any different? And that's your truth. And so rather than dealing with what I hope could be, what we're going to need to do is to say, I'm going to focus myself on what is. And what is with narcissists is sometimes impossibility, or they're entrenched and they're proud of it. I did a video a couple of years ago, the stupid and proud of it syndrome. Some of them it's like, hey, I'm good, I'm fine. So as you look at something like this, your task is to focus on your long game. You don't want that narcissistic individual to be the one that establishes who you are and establishes your pace. You don't want to filter your sense of well-being through their reactions to you. Instead, you want to say, you know what, even if there's a price to pay for having been with this individual, I'm committing to my own integrity. I'm going to commit to my own assertions, which is part of your boundaries, which means I'm going to define who I am. I'm going to move forward based on what I know is wisest and best, and my behaviors and my commitments to externals is going to reflect that. And in doing so, it may be that there will be some pain that you'll carry. But at the same time, what we're going to do is we're going to say, but I can't continue to go with the notion that says maybe this next time is going to be the one that gets through to that individual. It can sink in at some point where you think to yourself, this isn't going to happen. I need to focus on me being the best version of myself, and the narcissist does not have a vote in whatever that means and where that is going to lead me. Now, I do hope that videos like this can give you some things to think about. I know sometimes it's difficult, and yet at the same time, I hope that you're committed to your own integrity and your own goodness. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I would encourage you to do so. We're going to keep more videos coming towards you. I know that sometimes when you're dealing with things like this, it could be helpful for you to seek therapy. You know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online resource. It's an online therapy resource for you. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists. All you have to do is go through the link that we have below in the video here and go to their website and then answer a few questions, and then you can select the therapist to work with. Please, if the need is there, make yourself available. Invest in yourself. Invest in your future as you do. Now, in addition, I also have my own initiatives on my website. I have courses, and each course is very extensive. It would take a good bit of work from you, but I did it so that it can be my way of kind of walking you through the change process. We have courses. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos and handouts and questions. We have courses on anger, on boundaries, on finding yourself, despite the controllers, on what the healthy connection styles look like. We also have webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations, lots of articles, and then, of course, my books. So we have lots of resources for you. Avail yourself to all of that. I know it can be disillusioning when the reality soaks in where you think this person isn't going to adjust. And yet, what that means is I need to vote yes to myself that I can adjust. Even if it's not pretty, I can make my adjustments because I'm committed to my own steadiness. And I hope as you do so, despite the narcissist's intransigence, you can take yourself further and further down the path towards peace.